Jake Morrison stood in the metal hallway of the starship New Haven. His boots made soft sounds on the floor as he walked toward Admiral Kate Sullivan's office. The walls around him were painted white and covered with screens showing star maps and ship information. He had been a soldier for 8 years. Jake was 28 years old, tall, and had short brown hair. His uniform was dark blue, with silver badges that showed his rank. Lieutenant Morrison was known for being brave and smart in battle. The door to the Admiral's office opened with a soft hiss. Admiral Sullivan looked up from her desk. She was in her 50s with gray hair pulled back tight. Her face was serious. "As always, Morrison, sit down," she said, pointing to a chair across from her desk. Jake sat down and waited. He could see papers and data tablets spread across the Admiral's desk. Pictures of destroyed planets glowed on the wall screens behind her. "We have a problem," Admiral Sullivan began. "The biggest problem the galaxy has seen in 50 years. She touched a button on her desk. The room's lights dimmed, and a large picture peered in the air between them. It showed a creature that made Jake's stomach feel cold. The thing was huge, maybe 12 feet tall. It had 6 arms that ended in sharp claws. Its body was covered in black armor that looked like an insect's shell. 2 red eyes glowed like fire in its dark face. "This is what the aliens call the Devourer Queen," the Admiral said. "It has destroyed 7 colony worlds in the past 3 months. Millions of people are dead." Jake looked at the image more closely. The creature stood on 2 powerful legs. Each of its 6 arms was as thick as a man's body. Sharp spines ran along. Its back like a dragon from old stories. "What does it want?" Jake asked. "Death," Admiral Sullivan replied. "It lands on a planet and kills everything. Plants, animals, people. Then it moves to the next world and does it again." The picture changed to show a planet from space. Half of it was brown and dead. The other half still had green and blue colors. "This is Kepler 442c 3 weeks ago," the Admiral explained. "The creature landed on the green side. Now look at it today." The image switched to show the same planet. Now it was completely brown and gray. No green anywhere. No blue oceans. Just dead rock. "How is that possible?" Jake whispered. "We don't know. The thing has power we can't understand. It can destroy the air itself. It turns living worlds into dead stones." Admiral Sullivan stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. Stars filled the black sky like tiny diamonds. "The Galactic Council is scared, Morrison. Really scared. The Zephyrians are some of the toughest fighters in the galaxy, but their entire fleet ran away from this thing. The Voltari have weapons that can crack moons in half, but they won't even get close to it." She turned back to face Jake. "That's why they came to us, to humanity." Jake had heard this before. Other alien races thought humans were crazy. They said humans would fight anything, anywhere, no matter how dangerous. Most of the time, Jake thought they were right. "They want me to kill it," Jake said. "It wasn't a question. They want our best soldier to try. That's you, Morrison." The Admiral sat back down and pulled up more information on her desk screen. "Captain, Ryan Brooks will give you the full briefing in an hour. You'll have a small team, medic Lisa Carter and engineer Danny Walsh, the best equipment we have." Jake nodded. He had worked with Lisa and Danny before. Lisa was the best field medic in the fleet. She could fix almost any injury if the person was still breathing. Danny could make any machine work, even alien technology nobody understood. "What makes them think I can kill something that destroyed entire fleets?" Jake asked. Admiral Sullivan smiled for the first time since he had entered the room. "Because you're human, Morrison. You don't think like them. When they see a problem, they try to solve it the same way their people have solved problems for thousands of years. When you see a problem, You try crazy things that nobody expects. She touched her desk screen again. The image of the creature came back. This thing follows patterns. It hits mining worlds first, then moves to colony worlds, then attacks the home planets. Always the same order. The aliens think that means they can predict it. Jake studied the creature's face in the picture. Something about its eyes seemed strange, but he couldn't figure out what. "But you think different?" he asked. "I think maybe. It's not as simple as they believe. Maybe this Devourer Queen isn't just a monster that kills for fun." The Admiral stood up again. "Your ship leaves in 6 hours. The target was last seen in the Kepler system. We'll drop you on the dead world where it was spotted 3 days ago." Jake got up from his chair. "Admiral, what if I can't kill it?" "What? If the weapons don't work?" Kate Sullivan looked at him with steady eyes. "Then you better figure out something else, Morrison. Because if you fail, that thing will keep moving toward Earth, and we have nowhere left to run." Jake saluted and turned to leave. As he walked toward the door, the Admiral called his name. "Morrison," she said, "be careful out there. Something about this whole situation feels wrong to me. I can't put my finger on it, but trust your gut." The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. Jake walked back down the metal hallway, thinking about the creature's strange eyes and the Admiral's warning. In 6 hours, he would be hunting the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. He just hoped he was ready for what he might find. The shuttle shook as it entered the atmosphere of Kepler 442c. Jake gripped his seat and looked out the small window. What he saw made no sense. The planet below was not the dead brown rock he expected. Green patches covered large areas of the surface. Blue rivers wound between hills like silver ribbons. Strange crystal formations caught the sunlight and threw it back in rainbow colors. "Are you sure we're at the right planet?" Lisa Carter asked from the seat next to him. The medic had short red hair and green eyes. Her voice sounded confused. "Danny." Walsh looked up from his equipment scanner. The young engineer pushed his glasses up his nose and frowned at the readings. "The coordinates are correct, but these life signs don't match the reports." Jake activated his radio. "Control, this is Morrison. The target planet shows signs of life everywhere. Please confirm we're at the right location." Static filled the radio for a moment. Then Captain Brooks' voice came through clearly. "Confirmed. Morrison, you're at Kepler 442c. Maybe the sensors were wrong before." The shuttle landed in a clearing between tall trees with silver bark and blue leaves. Jake stepped outside and breathed deeply. The air was clean and fresh, not the poison atmosphere the reports described. "Look at this," Benny called from near a large crystal formation. It was taller than a man and shaped like a tree. Inside the crystal, lights moved like flowing water. "I've never seen anything like it." Lisa knelt beside a stream that ran past the landing site. She filled a sample bottle with the clear water. "This is pure, cleaner than anything we have on Earth." Jake studied the tracks in the soft ground near the stream. They were huge. Each footprint was the size of a dinner plate. 6 toes width, claw marks at the tips. The creature had been here recently. "Stay alert," Jake told his team. He checked his rifle and made sure the power pack was full. The monster could be anywhere. They followed the tracks through a forest of the strange. Silver trees. The path led up a hill covered with more crystal formations. Each crystal hummed softly with its own musical note. Together they made a gentle song that seemed to come from the planet itself. After 2 hours of walking, they reached the top of the hill. Below them stretched a valley filled with the largest crystal structures Jake had ever imagined. Some were as big as buildings. Others grew in spirals that reached toward the sky like frozen tornadoes. "It's beautiful," Lisa whispered in. The center of the crystal valley, they saw movement. The Devourer Queen stood beside a pool of silver water, but she was not destroying anything. Instead, she seemed to be growing new crystals with her hands. Jake raised his rifle and looked through the scope. The creature was exactly as the reports described, 12 feet tall, 6 arms, covered in black armor. But something was different. She moved slowly, carefully, like someone who was very tired. As Jake watched, the creature suddenly collapsed beside the pool. Her 6 arms spread out on the crystal ground. She did not move. "Is it dead?" Danny asked in a quiet voice. Jake lowered his rifle. "I don't think so. Look." The creature's chest rose and fell slowly. She was breathing, but it seemed difficult for her. "She's hurt," Lisa said. She was already reaching for her medical kit. "Look at the dark stains on her armor. That's blood." Jake made a decision that would change everything. Instead of shooting the monster, he walked down into the valley. His boots made soft ringing sounds on the crystal ground. The creature's red eyes opened when Jake got close. She tried to lift her head, but was too weak. When she spoke, her voice was like music and wind combined. "Human," she said in perfect English. "Have you come to finish what the others started?" Jake stopped walking. His finger stayed near the trigger of his rifle, but he didn't raise it. "The others?" "The council fleets. They wounded me badly before I could explain." Her voice was full of sadness. "I suppose it does not matter now. I am dying anyway." "You can talk," Jake said. It was a stupid thing to say, but he was too surprised to think clearly. The creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "My name is Zarathil. I am the last of the Keth Mori. We have always been able to speak with other races." Lisa and Danny had followed Jake into the valley. The medic was staring at the wounded creature with professional interest. "You're losing a lot of blood," Lisa said. "Those wounds need treatment." Aziraphale's red eyes focused on Lisa. "You would help me? Even though your people believe I am a monster?" Jake looked around the crystal valley. Everything here was growing and alive. Plants he had never seen before grew between the crystal formations. Small animals with fur like starlight played in the silver pool. "Did you create all this?" Jake asked. "I healed it," Zarathil replied. "This world was dying when I arrived. The soil was poison. The water was acid. The air burned the lungs of any creature that tried to breathe it." She lifted one of her 6 arms and pointed to a distant hill. "The council members who owned this world strip-mined it for 50 years. They took everything valuable and left only waste behind." Jake felt something cold in his stomach. "You mean you didn't destroy this planet? I restored it." Zarathil's voice grew weaker. "My people have done this work for 1,000 years. We find worlds that have been damaged, and we make them whole." Again, Danny was running his scanner over the crystal formations. "Jake, these crystals are alive. They're cleaning the air and water. They're like giant plants, but made of living mineral." Lisa had moved closer to Zarathil. "Your wounds are infected. If I don't treat them soon, you'll die within hours." Zarathil closed her red eyes. "Perhaps that would be best. I am the last of my kind. When I die, no one will be left to heal the damaged worlds." Jake made another decision. He put down his rifle and activated his radio. "Control, this is Morrison. I need to speak with Admiral Sullivan immediately." Captain Brooks' voice came back quickly. "Morrison, report. Have you eliminated the target?" "Negative, Control. The target is not what we thought. Requesting immediate medical evacuation for a wounded alien." Long silence filled the radio. Then Admiral Sullivan's voice, angry and confused. "Morrison, explain yourself. What's going on down there?" Jake looked at Zarathil, who was watching him with something like hope in her red eyes. Lisa was already cleaning the creature's wounds with supplies from her medical kit. "Admiral, The Devourer Queen is not a destroyer. She's a healer. The Council. Lead to us. More silence. Then the Admiral's voice, very quiet. Are you certain, Morrison? Jake looked around the Crystal Valley one more time. He saw life everywhere. Plants growing, water flowing clean, air that smelled like flowers instead. Oath poison. Yes, Admiral, I'm certain. We need to get her medical help, and then we need to have a very long talk with the Galactic Council. As Lisa worked to save Zarathil's life, Jake began to understand that everything they had been told was wrong. The real monsters in this story were not the ones with claws and red eyes. They were the ones who had sent him to kill an innocent creature whose only crime was trying to heal the galaxy. 3 days later, Jake sat beside Zarathil in the Crystal Valley. Lisa's medical treatment had worked. The creature's wounds were healing, but she was still weak. Zarathil had been telling Jake about her people. The Kethmori were ancient, older than any other race in the galaxy. They had traveled from world to world for thousands of years, fixing damage and bringing life back to dead places. We never asked for payment, Zarathil explained. Her voice was stronger now, but still musical. We did the work because it was right, because every world deserves to be healthy and beautiful. Jake watched small animals play in the silver pool. They looked like rabbits, but had 6 legs and fur that changed color with their mood. Zarathil had created them 3 days ago to help clean algae from the water. What happened to the rest of your people? Jake asked. Zarathil's red eyes became sad. The council decided we were a problem. We would heal worlds that they wanted to mine. We would restore atmospheres they wanted to sell. We made it harder for them to make money. She lifted one of her 6 arms and pointed to a scar on her chest armor. They hunted us, called us pests, said we were spreading disease and needed to be eliminated for the safety of the galaxy. Jake felt anger building in his chest. They committed genocide. Yes, my family died when I was young. I watched council ships burn our home world. I escaped and spent my life continuing our work, even though I knew they would never stop hunting me. The radio on Jake's belt crackled. Captain Brooks. Voice came through, urgent and worried. Morrison, we have a problem. Long-range sensors show a council fleet heading your way. 12 ships, including 2 dreadnoughts. They'll arrive in 6 hours. Jake grabbed the radio. How did they find us so fast? We think they've been tracking the alien's energy signature. Admiral Sullivan wants you to evacuate immediately. Jake looked at Zarathil. She was trying to stand up, but her legs were still shaky from her injuries. I cannot run anymore, she said quietly. I am too tired and too hurt. Perhaps it is time to stop fighting. No, Jake said firmly. He stood up and checked his rifle. We're not giving up. Danny Walsh came running from the other side of the valley, where he had been studying the crystal formations. His face was excited and scared at the same time. Jake, you need to see this, Danny called. These crystals aren't just cleaning the environment. They're connected to Zarathil somehow. When she's calm, they grow faster. When she's stressed, they dim. Zarathil nodded. The crystals are part of me, part of all Kethmori. We grow them. With our life energy, they are how we heal worlds. Lisa came running from the shuttle. Council ships just appeared in orbit. They're launching attack pods. We have maybe 20 minutes. Jake made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. We're not leaving. We're going to fight. Jake, we can't fight 12 ships. With one shuttle, Danny protested. We're not fighting the ships, Jake replied. He turned to Zarathil. Can your crystals do more than clean air and water? Zarathil's red eyes brightened with understanding. Yes, but it will require all my remaining strength. I might not survive. What can they do? They can grow very fast when I need them to. and they are harder than any metal your people have ever made. The first Council attack pods screamed through the atmosphere above them. Jake could see them through the crystal formations, black metal shapes with red lights like angry wasps. "Do it," Jake told Zarathil. "Protect us." Zarathil stood up slowly. All 6 of her arms spread wide. The crystals around the valley began to glow brighter. A low humming sound filled the air. The attack pods landed at the edge of the valley. Soldiers in heavy armor poured out, insect-like Zephyrians with 4 arms and mandibles that clicked. When they talked, their weapons glowed with blue energy. General Hextar of the Zephyrian fleet was easy to spot. He was bigger than the others and wore golden armor. His voice boomed across the valley through a speaker system. "Human soldiers, step away from the creature. We are here to complete the extermination that should have been finished years ago." Jake raised his rifle and activated his radio so the general could hear him. "This creature has done nothing wrong. She heals worlds. She's not your enemy. The creature is a plague that must be removed," General Hextar replied. "Stand aside or be considered enemies of the Galactic Council." "Then I guess we're enemies," Jake said. The battle started when the Zephyrian soldiers opened fire with their energy weapons. Blue beams cut through the air toward Jake and his team, but Zarathil's crystals responded instantly. They grew up from the ground like living walls, blocking the energy beams. The weapons that hit the crystals made them glow brighter instead of damaging them. "Impossible," General Hextar chittered. "Those crystals should have been destroyed." Danny was scanning the crystals with his equipment. "Jake, they're absorbing the energy from the weapons and using it to grow faster." Lisa had taken cover behind a large crystal formation. She was firing her sidearm at the Zephyrian soldiers, but her small weapon barely scratched their armor. Jake realized they needed a different strategy. He ran toward Zarathil, who was standing in the center of the valley with her arms raised. The crystals around her were growing so fast that Jake could see them moving. "Can you create something specific?" Jake shouted over the noise of the battle. "What do you need?" Zarathil asked. Her voice was strained from the effort of controlling so many crystals at once. Jake pointed at the Zephyrian soldiers. "Something to stop them without killing them. Can you do that?" Zarathil smiled with her strange alien features. "I can do better than that." She focused her attention on the ground beneath the enemy soldiers. Crystals began growing up around their feet. Not sharp or dangerous, but thick and strong. Within minutes, every Zephyrian soldier was trapped up to their waists in living crystal. They could not move, but they were not hurt. Their weapons were useless because they could not aim them properly. General Hextar was trapped like the others, but he kept shouting orders. "Orbital bombardment. Destroy this entire valley." Jake's radio crackled with Admiral Sullivan's voice. "Morrison, Council ships are charging their main weapons. They're going to blast the whole area from space." Jake looked at Zarathil. She was breathing heavily from the effort of growing so many crystals. "Can you protect us from orbital bombardment?" "Not directly," she replied, "but I can do something else." Zarathil raised all 6 arms toward the sky. The crystals throughout the valley began singing, a deep harmonic sound that seemed to come from the planet itself. Above them, the air started to shimmer. Danny's scanner went crazy with readings he had never seen before. "She's creating some kind of energy field," Danny said in amazement. "It's reflecting the ship's targeting systems back at them." The Council ships tried to fire, but their weapons could not lock onto anything in the valley. Every time they tried to aim, their own sensors told them they were about to fire on empty space. General Hextar stopped struggling against the crystals that held him. His insect eyes stared at Zarathil with something like fear. "What are you?" he whispered. Zarathil looked down at the trapped general. Her red eyes were sad, but determined. "I am the last guardian of life in this galaxy," she said. "And I am tired of running from those who would rather destroy than create." Jake realized that something had changed in that moment. Zarathul was no longer just trying to survive. She was ready to fight back. And for the first time since this whole mission began, Jake felt like they might actually win. 2 hours later, Jake helped Zarathul walk up the loading ramp of the shuttle. The giant alien moved slowly, exhausted from using so much power to protect them. Her 6 arms shook with tiredness. Lisa checked Zarathul's vital signs with her medical scanner. "Her energy levels are dangerously low," she reported. "She needs rest and nutrition soon." Behind them, the Crystal Valley still held dozens of trapped Zephyrian soldiers. General Hexstar had finally stopped shouting threats and sat quietly in his crystal prison, staring at the ground. Danny finished loading his equipment and sealed the shuttle door. "The council ships are still up there," he said nervously. "They're going to follow us." Jake activated the radio as the shuttle lifted off. "Control, this is Morrison. We're coming home with a passenger. She's badly injured and needs immediate medical attention." Admiral Sullivan's voice came back immediately. "Morrison, you cannot bring that creature aboard this ship. The crew will panic. Admiral, she saved our lives. The council tried to kill us all." Long silence filled the radio. Finally, the Admiral spoke again. "Dock in Shuttle Bay 7. Medical team will be waiting. And Morrison, keep this quiet until I can figure out what to do." The shuttle docked with the New Haven 20 minutes later. Jake was surprised to see Admiral Sullivan waiting in the shuttle bay herself, along with Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's chief scientist. Dr. Foster was a woman in her 40s with brown hair and intelligent eyes. She stared at Zarathul with fascination as Jake helped the alien walk down the ramp. "Incredible," Dr. Foster whispered. "The energy readings from her body are unlike anything I've ever seen." Admiral Sullivan looked worried. "How do I explain this to the crew? Half of them have families on worlds that things supposedly destroyed." "She didn't destroy anything," Jake said firmly. "She healed those worlds. The council lied to us." Zarathul spoke in her musical voice. "Admiral Sullivan, I understand your fear, but I'm too tired to be dangerous right now, even if I wanted to hurt your people." The Admiral stared into Zarathul's red eyes for a long moment. "Can you prove what Morrison says is true?" "I can show you," Zarathul replied. "But I will need to touch your mind briefly. It will not hurt." Admiral Sullivan hesitated, then nodded. "Do it." Zarathul placed one of her 6 hands gently on the Admiral's forehead. Both of them closed their eyes. For 30 seconds, they stood perfectly still. When Zarathul removed her hand, Admiral Sullivan staggered backward. Her face was pale, and her eyes were wide with shock. "Oh my God," the Admiral whispered. "What they did to your people, ... Dr. Foster stepped forward. "Admiral, what did you see?" "The truth," Admiral Sullivan replied. She looked at Zarathul with new respect. "Dr. Foster, take our guest to the medical bay. Give her whatever she needs." Jake accompanied Zarathul to the medical bay, where Dr. Foster ran dozens of tests. The alien answered every question patiently, even though she was exhausted. "Your biology is fascinating," Dr. Foster said as she studied the scanner readings. "Your cells can convert almost any form of energy into biological power. No wonder you can grow crystals from nothing." "It is how the Kethmori were made," Zarathul explained. "We are living tools for healing damaged worlds." That evening, Jake sat with Zarathul in his quarters. The alien was too large for human furniture, so she sat on the floor with her back against the wall. She seemed more comfortable that way. "Tell me about your family," Jake said, Zarathil's red eyes became distant. My mother was named Kirathil. She could sing to plants and make them grow in patterns, so beautiful that other races would travel across the galaxy just to see her gardens. Gestured with 2 of her 6 arms. My father, Torthal, could heal the deepest wounds in a planet's surface. Canyons carved by strip mining would become fertile valleys under his touch. How old were you when they died? Jake asked gently. 50 years by your counting. Very young for a Kethmori. We usually live for thousands of years. Jake tried to imagine being alone for centuries, hunted and hated for trying to help. Why didn't you give up? Zarathil was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft. Because someone had to remember what my people stood for. Someone had to continue the work. She looked at Jake with curiosity. Tell me about humans. Why are you different from the other races? Jake thought. About how to explain. I guess we adapt quickly. When other species have a problem, they try to solve it the way their ancestors did. When humans have a problem, we try new things. And you do not fear change? Some of us do. But most humans know that change is how things get better. Zarathil nodded slowly. That is why I trusted you in the valley. Other races would have shot first and asked questions later. But you stopped to listen. Jake's radio buzzed with an emergency signal. Captain Brooks' voice came through, urgent and worried. All senior staff to the bridge immediately. We have a situation. Jake and Zarathil made their way to the bridge, where Admiral Sullivan stood looking at the main screen. It showed dozens of ships surrounding the New Haven Council vessels of every type and size. They followed us, Admiral Sullivan said grimly. General Hexstar managed to get free somehow. He's demanding we surrender the alien immediately. On the screen, General Hexstar's insect face appeared. His 4 arms gestured angrily as he spoke. Human. Vessel, you are harboring a dangerous criminal. Surrender the creature or face the consequences. Admiral Sullivan activated the communication system. General, that creature saved the lives of my people. She's under our protection now. The Council has declared her a threat to galactic security. You have 1 hour to comply, or we will take her by force. The transmission ended. Admiral Sullivan turned to her officers. Options? She asked. Captain Brooks checked his tactical display. We're outnumbered 50 to 1, Admiral. We can't fight. Them all. Dr. Foster spoke up from her station. Admiral, I've been studying the alien's abilities. She might be able to help us, but she needs time to recover her strength. Jake looked at Zarathil, who was listening quietly to everything. What do you think? He asked her. Zarathil's red eyes were sad but determined. I am tired of running, Jake Morrison, and I am tired of being afraid. She stood up to her full 12-foot height. Admiral Sullivan, I have an idea, but it will require something that has never been tried before. What do you need? The Admiral asked. Zarathil smiled with her alien features. I need to speak to the entire galaxy at once. And I need your people to help me tell them the truth. Jake felt excitement building in his chest. Zarathil wasn't planning to run or hide anymore. She was planning to fight back in a way that only a human would think of. She was going to change the rules of the game completely. Jake stood in the communication center of the New Haven, watching Zarathil prepare for the most important broadcast in galactic history. The alien had recovered much of her strength with Dr. Foster's help, and her red eyes glowed with determination. Are you sure about this? Admiral Sullivan asked. Once we send this message, there's no going back. A council will consider us enemies. Zarathil nodded with all 6 arms. Admiral, I have been an enemy of the council for 200 years. The difference now is that I am not alone. Danny Walsh finished connecting his equipment to the ship's main communication array. This should reach every world in the galaxy that has a receiver," he said. "But it'll also tell everyone exactly where we are." "That's the idea," Jake replied. He activated his radio. "All stations, prepare for galaxy-wide broadcast." Lisa Carter monitored Zarathil's vital signs from her medical station. "Her energy levels are stable," she reported. "But this is going to take a lot out of her." Admiral Sullivan gave the signal. "Begin transmission." Dr. Foster spoke first, her voice calm and scientific. "Citizens of the galaxy, I am Dr. Amy Foster of the human vessel New Haven. What you are about to hear will change everything you think you know about the being you call the Devourer Queen." The main screen showed images that Dr. Foster had gathered. Before and after pictures of worlds that Zarathil had visited. Dead, poisoned planets transformed into gardens of crystal and living light. "This creature does not destroy worlds," Dr. Foster continued. "She heals them. For 200 years, she has restored life to planets damaged by strip mining and industrial pollution." Jake stepped forward to speak next. "My name is Lieutenant Jake Morrison. 3 days ago, I was sent to kill this alien. Instead, I learned that everything we were told was a lie." The screen showed recordings of the battle in the Crystal Valley. General Hexstar and his soldiers attacking peaceful healers. Zarathil defending herself only after being wounded by Council forces. The Galactic Council systematically exterminated. An entire race whose only crime was making it harder for them to exploit damaged worlds, Jake said. Zarathil is the last survivor of a genocide. Now, it was Zarathil's turn to speak. She stood in front of the camera, her 12-foot frame filling the screen. When she spoke, her musical voice carried across the galaxy. "My name is Zarathil, of the Keth Mori. I am the last of my people, but I am no longer alone. These humans have shown me something I thought was lost forever, the courage to stand up for what is right." She gestured with her 6 arms toward images of the world she had healed. "Every world I have touched was dying when I found it. The Council's member races had strip-mined them, poisoned their water, and burned their forests. I gave these worlds back their life. The transmission was being broadcast on every frequency." Jake could see message indicators lighting up on Danny's communication board as responses poured in from across the galaxy. "Incoming transmission from the Altair colony," Danny reported. "They're requesting immediate assistance. Their mining operations have poisoned 3 continents." More lights appeared on the board. "Proxima Station wants to know if the healing process can reverse atmospheric damage," Danny said excitedly. "The Vega settlements are asking if we can help with their water supply problems." Admiral Sullivan smiled grimly. "It's working." But not everyone was happy with the broadcast. The main screen suddenly switched to show General Hexstar angry insect face. "Citizens, do not be fooled by this propaganda," the general chittered. "The creature is dangerous. These humans have been infected by its influence." Jake stepped back in front of the camera. "General, you're welcome to explain to the galaxy why your forces opened fire on a wounded alien who was trying to surrender peacefully." The general's 4 arms waved frantically. "All Council vessels, prepare to destroy the human ship. We cannot allow this infection to spread." But something unexpected happened. On the tactical display, Jake could see some of the Council ships moving away from the attack formation. "Admiral," Captain Brooks called out, "we're receiving messages from several Council vessels. They're refusing to attack us." Danny was reading the incoming communications. "The captain of the Voltari cruiser Crystal Spear says his crew won't fire on the ones protecting a healer." More ships began breaking away from the Council fleet. On dozens of worlds, colonists and workers were sending messages of support. Species that had never challenged the Council before were demanding answers about the genocide of the Keth Mori. "This is impossible," General Hexstar snarled over the radio. returned to formation immediately, but his own fleet was falling apart. Jake watched on the tactical screen as ship after ship moved away from the attack group. Then something even more amazing happened. New contacts appeared on the edge of the sensor range, dozens of ships arriving from different directions. "Admiral," Captain Brooks said in an amazed voice, "we're being joined by vessels from over 30 different worlds. They're forming a protective formation around us." The radio filled with voices from across the galaxy. Colony ships, freight haulers, and even some military vessels that had abandoned their council allegiances. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the trade vessel Free Spirit," came one voice. "We stand with the humans and the healer." "Mining ship Rock Hammer reporting for duty," said another. "Our world needs healing after 50 years of strip mining." Jake looked at Zarathel, who was staring at the tactical display with wonder in her red eyes. "I never imagined," she whispered. "So many people willing to stand up for what is right." Admiral Sullivan activated the fleet communication channel. "All vessels. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the human ship New Haven. We are forming a new alliance, the Galactic Restoration Alliance. Our mission is to heal the damage done to worlds across the galaxy." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Over 200 ships had joined them, with more arriving every hour. General Hexstar made one last desperate attempt. "All loyal. Council forces attack now. Destroy them all." But only a dozen ships remained loyal to him. The rest of his fleet had either joined the new alliance or simply left the area. The battle that followed was brief. The overwhelming numbers of the Restoration Alliance forced the remaining Council loyalists to retreat. 3 months later, Jake sat in his quarters aboard the New Haven, which had been designated as the flagship of the Galactic Restoration Alliance. They had visited 12 worlds so far, and Zarathil had begun the healing process on all of them. The galaxy was changing. The old council had collapsed as world after world joined the new alliance. Species that had been oppressed for centuries were finally free to choose their own path. Jake looked down at the floor beside his chair, where Zarathil slept peacefully. The giant alien had curled up like a cat, her 6 arms folded beneath her. Her red eyes were closed, and her breathing was slow and steady. She was no longer the last of her kind in spirit, even if she was still the only Kethmori left alive. Humans and dozens of other species were learning her healing techniques. The galaxy would never lack for healers again. Jake smiled and reached down to gently touch Zarathil's armored shoulder. She stirred slightly, but did not wake up. For the first time in 200 years, she felt safe enough to truly rest. The monster queen that the council had wanted him to destroy now slept at his feet, not as a conquered enemy, but as a friend and partner in healing the scars that greed. And fear had left across the galaxy dot. Outside the window, the stars shone brighter than ever. Each one represented a world that could be saved, a people that could be free, and a future built on growth instead of destruction. And it had all started because one human soldier decided to listen instead of shoot, and one alien healer found the courage to trust again. The galaxy would never be the same.